Welcome back, Karptastic ladies and gentlemen, to another Fun Friday episode in this TCGO series. Fun Friday is all about having fun with fun and silly deck ideas, and today we are going to be taking a look at a Mega Blaziken-EX deck, Mega Blaziken-EX, the XY86 Promo. It was suggested by Slyke from YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. There's a link below in the description for me to build a deck around Mega Blaziken-EX. So here it is. I fulfilled his request. If you have a request of your own, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. But keep in mind, please keep in mind, I only have so much time, so I cannot fulfill every single request. Obviously, that should be obvious. And also, my suggestion list or my request list is already pretty filled up at this point, so it might take quite a while, even a month, for me to put out a video on your request. Now, if you want to skip to certain parts of the video, click the annotations on the left hand side of the screen or click the timestamps in the description. Mega Blaziken-EX is a Pokemon with 210 hit points, which is not that impressive for a Mega Pokemon. And one attack, the Moonsault Blaze, hits for 100 base damage and costs 4 energies, 2 fire, 2 colorless. Then it has also got an effect. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Moonsault Blaze attack does 100 more. So you are hitting for 200 the second time that you use this Moonsault Blaze attack, or even 220 with a Muscle Band, which I do run 3 copies of the Muscle Band to increase our base damage here, since if you are hitting for that 100 base damage with a Muscle Band, that's 120. That's enough to knock out, for example, Shaymin, or for example, Regice in one hit. And if we can do that, then we really should do that, because Shaymin are 2 easy prizes and Regice is a big threat. We have a Lysandre here in the deck to Lysandre out those Pokemon that will be on my opponent's bench in some games that we will be facing, and Shaymin is in most decks, so having that Lysandre for targeting Shaymin is gonna be very handy. Then 3 Blaziken-EX, 3 copies of Blaziken-EX, 2 copies of Mega Blaziken-EX. The Blaziken-EX is also a promo, XY54, I think. I cannot quite read it too well, it's a bit obscured by the card's artwork. It has got 2 attacks. Fist of Focus hits for 30 and lets you attach a energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And then the main attack that we will be using with Blaziken-EX is Flare Storm. Hits for 100 damage as the base, same as the Mega Blaziken. And then you get to flip a coin for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. And then this attack does 20 more damage for each head. So assuming we have 2 fire energy attached from a Blacksmith and then a DCE, then we are hitting for 120 on average with the Flare Storm. With the Muscle Band, that's 140, so we are going to be hitting for 2 hit KOs on the X's with Blaziken-EX, but we can get that 1 hit KO with the Moonsault Blaze, and the Moonsault Blaze is mainly gonna come in handy against Mega Pokemon. With the Muscle Band, it's hitting for 220. That's enough to knock out things like Mega Manectric, which is the most popular Mega Pokemon in the format at this point, I think. Wow, my throat is acting up. That's wow, it's completely breaking up. I think I'm hitting puberty here. Alright, we also have Entei as a backup attacker with the Theta double trait, which allows us to attach 2 Pokemon tool cards from our hand to Entei, and then 2 attacks. Flame Screen hits for 30, reduces damage by 30 in the next turn, and Heat Tackle hits for 130, so again, very nice to knock out Shaymin. And then you get to flip a coin, and if tails, you have to do 30 damage to Entei itself. Now, Entei is a Pokemon that could possibly 1-hit KO on EX if we slap on 2 Muscle Bands. So we have 3 copies in our deck. It's definitely possible finding 2 of them and putting them on 1 Entei, since we are running a very speedy deck. Our deck is all based around speed, drawing through it and setting up in our first turn. What we are going to aim for is drawing through it with Shaymin. We have Shaymin here for draw support, and Ultra Balls to get out our Shaymin, as well as our Blazikens, Trainers Mail to dig through our deck, and Battle Compressor to discard some cards from our deck that we don't immediately want to see, but most importantly to discard fire energies 7 fire energies, 3 DCEs, and then we will get those fire energies back with a blacksmith. So what we are going to try and do is discard those fire energies and then blacksmith them onto our Pokemon, the Blaziken-EX or the Entei AOR, and then we will attach a DCE from hand, and just like that we have powered up their attacks in our first turn. So that's the big strategy, having that speed going for us. One important thing to note is that we are running a lot of item cards to get the speed off. So if you are facing an item lock deck, we will be in a pickle if they are going first and they can get off the lock in their first turn. That's going to be very tough for us. All we need is really one turn of item cards, but if they can get their lock going before we get that turn, we are going to be having a tough time. I do run one Hex Maniac to deal with Trevenant item lock and Vileplume lock, but that one copy is often not really gonna cut it, so you will have to be a little bit lucky to deal with those decks. Then 3 copies of Professor Sycamore for draw support, 3 Scorched Earth Stadium for draw support as well, and this also helps us to get our energy in the discard pile, and certainly against item lock this helps us to get our energy in the discard pile, because when under item lock we cannot use the battle compressors, the 4 copies of battle compressor in our deck. And then finally, we are nearing the end of the deck analysis, but I think we are now going to discuss the 2 most, I would say, interesting cards in the deck. First one being Robo Sub. Why is Robo Sub in this deck? And that has to do with the Mega Blaziken-EX, and that also has to do with why I only run 2 copies of Mega Blaziken, because we do not have a Spirit Link to evolve from Blaziken-EX into our Mega Blaziken-EX, and that means if we want to Mega Evolve, we will have to skip our turn because of the Mega Evolution rule. When one of your Pokemon becomes a Mega Evolution Pokemon, your turn ends. So how are we going to deal with that? We are going to promote a Robo Sub in the active spot when we are going to Mega Evolve. Obviously we are not going to Mega Evolve every single game, because sometimes it's just not useful to get out Mega Blaziken-EX, and that's why I only run 2 copies, because the Mega Blaziken-EX is only useful in select matchups like against Mega Pokemon. Now when we are going to Mega Evolve, we are going to promote this Robo Sub and force our opponent to take a knockout on the Robo Sub and not take a prize, or B, to find a Lysandre in his deck and Lysandre out the Mega Blaziken on our bench. So that way we make it a little bit tougher on my opponent to deal with our Mega Blaziken-EX when we are evolving. And then secondly, there is the Bursting Balloon. This is going to help us when we are Mega Evolving as well, since if we cannot find a Robo Sub and we have Blaziken in the active spot, we can just attach a Bursting Balloon to it, then Mega Evolve, and that means my opponent needs to accept 6 damage counters on his attacking Pokemon if he attacks our Mega Blaziken because of this Bursting Balloon, or he needs to find a starting Megaphone or a Zero Sick to get rid of the Bursting Balloon and get around it. So again, making it a little bit tougher on my opponent to deal with our process of Mega Evolving, because otherwise it would be pretty easy for him to take advantage of it. And there was one thing I was still gonna say, but I quite forgot right now. I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, I remember now. This Bursting Balloon also helps us to reach 1-hit KO numbers with our Blaziken-EX and our Mega Blaziken-EX, as well as our Entei if we do not find the muscle bands for it. So we just attack for example, a Heat Tackle, slap on a Bursting Balloon, and that means my opponent will have 190 damage total on it if he attacks us, and that is a knockout on most EX Pokemon in the format. Yeah, I think any EX Pokemon except for the Megas. And that's gonna be it for the deck analysis. There's one switch to switch out of our Shaymin if we start off with Shaymin, and one Super Rod to get back our Pokemon and some energies, but I think that is quite obvious. I'll give you the general overview right now. It's a pretty concise list, not too many different cards, and that's because it's focused on consistency, on speed. So there you go, here is the general overview. I hope they fix it real soon, because it's nice to work in this overview, but right now it's kind of bugged, kind of glitchy. So leave a like if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy the upcoming battles, and subscribe to my channel for more competitive, silly and fun deck ideas. Opponent numero uno has arrived, and it's gonna be a carry-on 1, 2, 3 with a Night March deck. That's gonna be Night March here. Yeah, uno, that's one in Spanish, right? I think that's one. Uno, dos, tres, yeah, I believe so. Un, deux, trois in French. 1, 2, 3 in Dutch. Dutch being my mother tongue. Obviously, I had Dutch in school. I also had French in school. I had English in school. I had 2 years of German, but I don't remember too much of German. Ich streiche die Wände auf meinem Zimmer blau. That's what I remember. Generic sentences like that. No, not very useful, really. I'm painting the walls in my room blue. That's what that means. And then I had 1 year of Spanish. I don't remember much at all from my Spanish classes either. I do remember how to present myself. Me llamo Shining Karp, but that's about it. We start off with a really bad hand here. That is a terrible hand. It's a Mega Manectric deck, so our Blaziken could come in handy if we can evolve soon enough before my opponent can have access to Lysanders and stuff like that. Hopefully his Lysander is prized. Let's hope for that. There's DCE, that's good. Oh, a Smeargle start. Smeargle. That is, oh, never mind, finds the Floatstone, obviously. My opponent finds the Floatstone straight away. Well, at least we'll get off the first hit, and my opponent will have trouble one-shotting our Entei with Manectric. Manectric is not very good against Entei, because it needs to two-shot it, and we two-shot the Manectric as well. So that's trading 2 prizes for 1 prize. There's a Sycamore, there's 2 Sycamore in discard pile, 1 Manectric, 1 Mega Manectric in the discard pile, and a Dene. The Dene could come in handy for my opponent. We do play a lot of energy on our Pokemon. And my opponent has powered up the Manectric in 1 turn with that Elixir, and is gonna promote it. I'm not sure why. He cannot attack. He's gonna let the Manectric take damage. So this is probably a Ho-Ho deck. That would be my bet, a Ho-Ho deck. We'll put down a stadium. We'll attach a DCE to the Entei. We'll take a look at our Trainers Mail. Maybe we can find an Ultra Ball. There's a Robo sub. So 2 Robo subs, that's pretty good. And then we will use the stadium, discard this energy, see what we can get from it. An Ultra Ball, excellent stuff. I was looking to get that Ultra Ball. We'll discard the Mega Blaziken. I think we should have another one in deck. Yes, there is another one, and we'll go for a Shaymin. That's a little bit risky there. But we want to get off our turn 1 heat tackle with the Entei. So we'll draw into 4 cards. We are looking for a Battle Compressor and a Blacksmith. And there's a Blacksmith, no Battle Compressor though. So, alright. I'm gonna attach this Bursting Balloon, and then I'm going to put down the Blaziken, and let's see. Let's use the Blacksmith. Yeah, we're stuck with a bad hand. That's really unfortunate. Very unfortunate, the hand that we drew into. So we'll have to just go for the flame screen for now. And if our opponent attacks us, he will put 60 damage on himself, helping us out in the long run. We should definitely be able to stay alive here, unless we see a muscle band from our opponents. Crushing Hammer. Oh yes, it's tails. Oh, whew. My opponent plays Crushing Hammers. That is an interesting choice for my opponent. And Mega evolves without a Spirit Link. That is interesting as well there. Decides not to attack us with the Bursting Balloon. I'm going to power up the Blaziken on the bench there. Bench another Blaziken. And then go for a VS Seeker for a Sycamore. It seems my opponent is left without a nice hand. So we need to take advantage of that. And possibly Mega Evolve at some point. We get a Battle Compressor and another Bursting Balloon. There's a Mega Blaziken, so we can for sure use that to our advantage. Wait, let's think here. If we attach a Bursting Balloon to our Entei and then Mega Evolve, then my opponent will have 60 damage on him. That's 90 total. That brings him down to 120. And if we then attack for a hit tackle, that's a knockout. And our opponent cannot one-hit KO our Entei, so that is to our advantage. And then we can start going with the Blaziken if our Entei gets knocked out. So I think I will do that. We have the ability to get a Blacksmith going. We have VS Seekers to do that. So I'm going to actually opt to Mega Evolve right now. Now that my opponent doesn't have a Lysandre or anything. We'll discard an energy and maybe a Lysandre of our own, and we could actually Lysandre out the Dene. Or do we... I'm not gonna Lysandre out the Dene just yet. I think I will actually Blacksmith onto the Blaziken right now and power up the Mega Blaziken. Wait, I cannot do that. I already used my supporter for the turn. I forgot that. What did I use my supporter for? I Sycamore, that's right. So we are going to Mega Evolve and force my opponent to find a Lysandre, but with his current hand I don't think he can. So we're gonna force him to take some damage, and then in the next turn we are gonna Blacksmith onto the Entei. There is a bird, so we won't see a Sycamore, a Lysandre just yet. It's unfortunate that we have to accept some damage on our Entei, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. We can attack with our Blaziken. I would love to find a Muscle Band, but I don't think we'll be able to. And there is the Ho-Ho for my opponent. My opponent is going to look to attack with Ho-Ho. This is definitely an interesting match already. I'm not too sure if we are going to be able to pull off the win. It will rely on us getting a little bit of a better hand here. We could go with an Ultra Ball, dig for a Shaymin and discard the Robo sub, and I think we might do that. We'll need to find a Muscle Band, then we can one-hit KO the Manectric here, because then we are doing 120 damage. There is a Muscle Band on the Dene. My opponent is probably going to retreat to the Dene, but he does not. Just hits for 110. Why did he not put a Muscle Band on the Manectric? That would have been a knockout. I think that was a mistake from my opponent there. My opponent would have knocked out our Entei. Now we keep the Entei in hand, and that is gonna help us out there. And we top deck the Muscle Band. Oh man, that is truly amazing. So we are going to power up the Blaziken, and we are going to hit for our Moonsault Blaze for 120, which is a knockout, and then in the turn after that for a ton more damage for 220. That's a knockout on the Ho-Ho. Do I want to discard this VS Seeker and go for a Shaymin? And that's a question right now. Do I go for a Sycamore instead with the VS Seeker? Shaymin is an easy target for my opponent, but I feel like we need some more cards in hand for the next turn. We'll discard that DCE, and I'm gonna get rid of one Robo sub. We already Mega Evolved, so we don't really need the Robo subs per se. And I'm gonna get rid of the VS Seeker. We would have gotten rid of it anyways. And I'm gonna find a Shaymin, the last Pokemon in our deck actually. That is interesting. So we only have these Pokemon on the bench to work with, unless we can find our Super Rod, which I think we should still have in our deck. And there we go, we get a Bursting Balloon and nothing much else. We do have that Muscle Band. The Bursting Balloon, we cannot use it at this point. I'm going to discard this Fire Energy with the Stadium, see what else we can draw into. There is a DCE, that is really good. Gonna attach that DCE to the Blaziken, and then I'm gonna take a look at the Trainers Mail, see if I can find another Blacksmith. And yes, I can. We can even find a Switch, but I'm gonna stick to the Blacksmith for now. And attack for the knockouts. I think it is time. This should be a knockout if I calculate correctly. Yes, it is indeed. Oh, I am quite confident now that we have a shot at this game. I am quite confident indeed. I would love to get a VS Seeker so we can Lysandre around that Ho-Ho, because this Dene is going to hit for quite a bit of damage here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 100 damage onto our Mega Blaziken just with the Dene. We really need our Lysandre, and we only have one VS Seeker left. That's not going to be easy for us to find that Lysandre. Oh my goodness, we top decked the VS Seeker. That's it. I think that's gonna be game then, because we have quite a few backup attackers ready. I'm going to discard an energy. Do I want to discard anything else? Probably a battle compressor. I don't think we have any need for that. And a Hex Maniac. Let's go with that, and then we'll Blacksmith onto the Blaziken on the bench. Blaziken is a pretty good attacker here, but no, we cannot do that. I need to be careful here. I need to Lysandre out the Ho-Ho. That's what I need to do. And we will hit for the knockout with the Moonsault Blaze, and we might even stay alive in a turn after that. Moonsault Blaze for 220, look at that. Bring ourselves down to 2 prizes. My goodness, this is amazing. I thought we would not be able to pull this off that well, but we did, and I think we were lucky that my opponent didn't find a Lysandre when we Mega Evolved. So we didn't have any damage on the Mega Blaziken, and that is going to be it here. I think we have the game. I'm just going to go for another Moonsault Blaze. I know I can retreat and attack. Might as well power up the Blaziken on the bench. I know I can retreat and save the Mega Blaziken from getting knocked out, but I just want to see that huge amount of damage here with the Moonsault Blaze. No mercy for my opponent. We just need one more prize here, and I think we can get it pretty easily. I don't see my opponent coming back from this. Does find the energy, so he can go for a knockout. I think that was a top deck with the energy. Knocks out 2 Pokemon, brings himself down to 3 prizes just like that. That's pretty good for my opponent, but we are going to try and take the game here. With Blaziken, we are gonna attach a Bursting Balloon, and that's probably going to be it, and my opponent cannot attack us or he will get knocked out. Bursting Balloon it is. We'll even put down another Entei, so we have a backup attacker. And then should we judge? I don't think we should judge ourselves. Is there anything we need to do? No, I don't think so. I would love to attach another energy, but we have 4 VS Seekers in this card pile. Only 1 Blacksmith left. Should be in a deck somewhere, but I don't think we can find it. Yeah, I'm just gonna attack here. I'm gonna go for the Flare Storm. Hitting for 120 plus 60 from the Bursting Balloon. That will be a knockout. This is looking pretty good still, even though my opponent had that 3 prize turn there. Can he maybe find the Mega Manectric? He does find the Spirit Link, but the Mega Manectric cannot one-hit KO us. He may be able to retreat, and that would make it fairly interesting if he can still retreat. There's a Mega Manectric and a Ho-Ho. Does he retreat into something? He's going to Turbo Bolt onto the Ho-Ho, but if he does that, then that's a knockout. He finds the Trainers Mail Rough Seas. Oh, that might actually do it for him, the Rough Seas. Healing up, and then we cannot one-hit KO Demon. Yes, we can still with the Bursting Balloon. If we get attacked, we can still one-hit KO the Mega Manectric. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Is he going to retreat into something? He does retreat into the Hoopa. It gives us a chance at knocking out his Hoopa. We just need a couple of energies really. Can we maybe get some energies? We get a Super Rod. I'm going to use the Super Rod to get back some energies. 1 energy, another energy, and another Entei. That's what I want to see. So it's still not over here. My opponent is hanging in there tight. I really don't want to play the Judge. I'm gonna counter the Stadium,
Don't want my opponent to heal up on the bench. And then, do I want to attach a muscle band? That's the question. Yeah, I think I will. I'm gonna attach a muscle band. Hit for the Flare Storm. It's 140 on the Hoopa. If my opponent cannot retreat to Hoopa, that's gonna be GG. So we are spreading damage on the board, left and right. There's the switch from my opponent, going to switch into the Mega Manectric. Is he going to take a knockout on our Shaymin? He is not. He's going to dig through his deck, bringing himself down to 9 cards. There's a Fighting Fury belt on the Ho-Ho and an energy. Is he going to retreat into the Ho-Ho? He probably is. But then we are still going to hit the Ho-Ho, and that's going to be a 2-hit knockout on any of my opponent's Pokemon. No, he goes for the Turbo Bolt, so that's going to be it. That's going to be GG. There was no way... Yeah, there was no way he could have taken this game anymore, I think. Unless he kept stalling somehow. We get an energy. That should do it for us, this last energy. Might as well Sycamore my hand away. Mate, no, that's no use. We'll just go for the knockout. We're hitting for 120 for sure. And that is already a knockout, I think. 120 plus 90, that's 210. We hit for 140 anyways. So there it is. We took 7 prizes this game. Blaziken really did shine here. It was kind of tight there at the end of the game. Kind of exciting. My heart started racing a little bit because my opponent kept retreating and changing out Pokemon. But it didn't matter in the very end. It was just taking up our time. Because I think we had the game as soon as Mega Blaziken started hitting. And apparently I completed a challenge, so let's see, what other challenge do I want to use? Maybe the Flying Fists, that could be interesting to complete. Oh my goodness, I have so many challenges going on. And there's an expanded challenge. Anyways, let's see if we can find opponent numero duo for today. The final opponent is gonna be Alison's with a fighting and a fairy deck. How about them apples? Fighting and fairy. Now that's a combination you don't see every day. And a fighting coin. And fighting and fairy, huh? Huh, indeed. We start off mulligan. Our opponent is playing Garchomp and fairy. Alright, so Blaziken is not going to be very helpful for us here. Oh my goodness. Of course we start off with only Blazikens in hand. Obviously that would be the case. Looks like we might be able to power up our Blaziken in our first turn. So if our opponent starts off with just a Gible and nothing else, then we might actually get lucky here. And get a donk my opponent. I wouldn't mind because Garchomp is a pretty tough matchup if we start off with Blaziken. If we cannot find our Enteis. If we find Enteis, then it's a really good matchup for us. Because Garchomp is not very good against Entei. Needs to take 2 hit KOs at the very least. We'll draw into some more cards. There's a Sycamore. We'll keep the Sycamore in hand. And my opponent starts off with a ROS. Garchomp Gallade. My opponent's playing 2 evolution lines then. Maybe Garchomp is just for the maxi. And Gallade is the evolution line. So for now we still have just the 1 Pokemon there. So we have definitely... Oh, never mind. There's another basic. I was gonna say we definitely have the possibility of getting a KO here. Getting a donk. But that won't happen now. Unless my opponent doesn't bench that Gible. Gets a Puzzle of Time with the Corina. That's interesting. Because my opponent only has a Corina in the discard pile to use with the Puzzle of Time. I will for sure try to get a knockout on this route, so we need to get a knockout as soon as we can. And that is a pass of the turn. That is a terrible start from my opponent. We'll put down our Robo Sub, we'll attach our DCE, we'll attach... do we want to attach a Muscle Band? Probably will, but I'm kind of thinking of maybe attaching a Bursting Balloon if I can. We will get rid of an energy and a blacksmith. That's what we really need to get rid of. And then for the next turn we have a Sycamore. So we'll blacksmith straight away, and we'll keep the Blaziken in our hand for now. There's no need to put it down, it's just Lysandre bait for my opponent. I don't mind if my opponent Lysandres out the Robo sub, because we can just discard the Robo sub from play. So we are going to get the first knockout with our Flare Storm, which hits for 140 unnecessary damage right there. Taking that first prize, leaving my opponent with no benched Pokemon, and we do get an Entei. That is excellent. I really wanted to see an Entei. I'm not too scared of the Blaziken getting knocked out now. And my opponent gets another Gible. We won't see a knockout on our Blaziken just yet. My opponent doesn't have any energy attached to the Gible, so we won't see a Garchomp going for a bite off. And even then, my opponent would need a Stadium for the one-hit KO or a strong energy. There's a Garchomp, which we will knock out in one hit. With a strong energy is going to hit us for 80, and then attach an energy from the discard pile, but my opponent doesn't have any energy in the discard pile. It just hits for the Turbo Assault for 80. And that's okay. We should be able to knock out that Garchomp. If we just need one heads. That's all we really need. Do I want to risk it though? That's the question here. Or do I attach another energy to the Blaziken to make sure we can flip those heads? I'm gonna attach to the Blaziken. We have Robo subs to promote if the Blaziken gets knocked out. So there's another Entei. Really good stuff here. We get an Ultra Ball. Yeah, I don't think there's anything we need to do really. Could discard some energies, but I don't really want to. I'd rather draw into them right now. So we'll hit for hopefully the knockout. Yes, there it is. There's the heads. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. 180. That's what we needed for the Yveltal matchup. Yeah, that's what we needed right there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I might have cut out the matchup. I'm not sure if I will include it in the recording just yet, or in the video, the final video. But yeah, I had an Yveltal matchup today as well. And I kind of took a gamble there. And if the gamble would have paid off, the game would have swung in my favor. If the gamble would have not paid off, it would have swung in my opponent's favor. And the latter happened, so it just happens sometimes. And there's another rare candy and a teammate. My opponent is really making good use of that teammate. Has used a puzzle of time already. There's a Garchomp. So do we see another strong energy? Which is not enough for a knockout. My opponent needs the Stadium and a strong energy. And I think he will get those out with that teammates right there. I think he will indeed. We will promote a Robo sub. And then we're going to try and power up our Entei. We just need a VS Seeker or a Blacksmith. That's all we need. And let's see what my opponent got from that teammates. Did he get the strong energy? No, he got a Gible. And a Professor's Letter. Alright then. That's an interesting choice. So we'll get another KO here with our Blaziken. Blaziken is going to town against Garchomp. Wow. We're just too fast for my opponent. Too fast, too furious here. Yep, there's an energy on the Gible, on the bench. And we will bench another Entei, I think. We don't really need a muscle band on Entei anyways, but might as well just attach it. Maybe I should actually keep them in hand, because my opponent might run starting Megaphone, but it doesn't matter. What am I saying? We don't really need those muscle bands. We will try and dig for a Shaymin. Maybe. I'm gonna discard the Mega Blaziken. I don't think we'll use it here in this matchup. And we'll go for a Shaymin. Get a Shaymin in our hand. I'm not gonna put it down just yet. And do I want to use this Battle Compressor? I think the Blaziken will go down. So I'm not gonna use it. I was thinking about discarding energies, but I don't think it will be necessary. And there is 2 more heads, so we are hitting for 160 against Garchomp. My opponent couldn't find focus sashes. That would have helped my opponent out tremendously if he could have found focus sashes. We would have had a bit more trouble. Maybe he should have looked for focus sash with his teammates. I think my opponent made a few bad calls here with that teammates. I think he should indeed have looked for focus sash. He's already got 2 Garchomp in the discard pile. How many can he keep going? Gets another rare candy. That's 3 rare candy in the discard pile. No, only 1. Wait, how is that possible? How did he evolve his first Garchomp? How did he evolve his first Garchomp? Did he evolve from Gabite? No, he did not, because Gabite is not in the discard pile. Huh. I must have missed something. Oh, he used Puzzle of Time to get back a rare candy. That's what happened. That's why there's only 2 rare candies in the discard pile. And he goes for a ROS. Why do you not put down the Lucario? I think Lucario is his best bet against us. Lucario is the heavy hitter. And he could have used Lucario to draw into some more cards if he had another energy. There is the knockout on our Blaziken. Yeah, he should have used Lucario, because he could have accelerated onto Lucario. I don't know why he went for ROS there. I'm going to promote the Entei. We do have the Blacksmith in our discard pile, so we can just Blacksmith onto the Entei. We don't really need to worry about finding a Blacksmith, so we'll just use the Blacksmith. Maybe we can get a DCE, get another knockout. Our opponent's down to 4 prizes, so he is coming back a little bit, but I'm still not very worried. I am going to put down the Shaymin. Let's thin out our deck a bit. So the Shaymin could be an easy prize for my opponent. There's a Hex Maniac. We'll get rid of the Hex Maniac. We'll get rid of another Mega Blaziken. And we will get rid of a Lysandre. So we don't draw into those cards. And then we'll dig for a DCE with our Shaymin. We have the Sycamore for the next turn for draw support. There is the DCE and a Bursting Balloon. My goodness. I think that's it. I think that's game. We had a really nice hand there. Yeah, I don't think my opponent can come back from that in any way. Even if he had put down the Lucario, the Lucario would have to take 60 damage from the Bursting Balloon, and then we would just knock it out after that. So it wouldn't have mattered if he would have put down the Lucario or the ROS. He's going to get another teammates, then probably go for a rare candy into Gallade, and then knock out our Entei with the Gallade. But then we will just respond with another Entei. That's what we will do. The Lucario couldn't have knocked out our Entei. Granted, that's indeed true, so maybe that was a good pick. So maybe that's why his ROS or his Gallade was a good pick. But still, I don't think it will matter in the end. At least he can now use Premonition. At least he can do that. But he is down to so many cards. He has 3 Garchomps in the discard pile. 1 Lucario, 1 ROS. How many Pokemon can he still have in his deck? He cannot have that many Pokemon. There is a Sensitive Blade for the knockout. And 60 damage on the Gallade. I'm going to promote another Entei. I think we can get another Blacksmith. We have... Yeah, there's a VS Seeker right off the bat there. We'll look for a... Ooh, a Bursting Balloon. Oh yeah, don't mind if I do. I love me some Bursting Balloons. We'll put that Bursting Balloon on the Entei. We'll put down our Stadium. We will go for another Blacksmith with our VS Seeker. That's the 3rd VS Seeker that we have used, so we only have 1 more left, but I don't think we will have much use for it anyways. And we will power up the Entei. If we can find a DCE, that's gonna be game. If not, We will have to see what my opponent can do to respond here. You don't find a DCE. What happens if you attach 2 bursting balloons to an Entei? If this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, I'm gonna try that out. I want to see what happens. Does it stack up? That's what I'm wondering about here. So we did fail to get out a DCE, but those 2 bursting balloons, I just want to see what happens there. There's another Blacksmith, so we have at least another way of powering up an attacker for the next turn. We'll hit for the flame screen for 30, and then we will see what our opponent does. I'm so curious here to see what happens. 1 bursting balloon is more than enough to knock out the Gallade, but I just want to see what happens there. Can he find a Lysandre? He has a Maxi, so he's going to use Maxi for something there, for a Garchomp, potentially. Yeah, there's a Garchomp and 5 cards. I know it was a waste of the bursting balloon, and if it makes us lose the game... Oh, he retreats into the bench. Now he won't see what happens. Why would you do that? I just wanted to see what happens there. Oh man. Let me read it again. Let me read that bursting balloon once more. If this Pokemon, this card is attached to, is your active Pokemon. Yeah, I don't see why it would not stack up, but I might be completely wrong there. Let's take a look at our Trainers Mail. What else do we get? Another Robo sub. Do we need to get that out? No, I'm gonna get out the stadium instead. Counter the stadium for my opponent. And we have only used 1 Blacksmith so far, so we should have another Blacksmith in our deck. Let's have a look at our deck with the Battle Compressor. And there is a Super Rod, and a VS Seeker, and a Blacksmith. So yeah, we have another Blacksmith, we have a DCE. Huh. Let's discard the Blaziken. We have no need for the Blaziken. Do I use a Blacksmith here and go for a knockout? I think I will. My opponent needs a DCE, so I'm gonna Blacksmith onto the Entei. My opponent wants to knock us out. Oh my goodness. I didn't have enough energy in the discard pile. I should have looked at my discard pile before I did that. That was a waste of a Blacksmith there. Doesn't really matter if my opponent gets a DCE. We will stay alive because we used the flame screen. So it will be a 2-hit knockout. This is actually still getting interesting. Most likely because I just wasted my bursting balloons. If I had kept 1 in hand, I could have put it on the Entei now. How many VS Seekers has my opponent used? Only 1. Wow. Only 1 VS Seeker. Corina for... What is my opponent going to Corina for? A Lucario. So does get out another Lucario. My opponent really has a lot of Pokemon in deck, I must say. That's a lot of Pokemon for just 1 deck there. Well, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's okay actually, that's not too much. But we knocked out a lot of attackers already. What will my opponent do? I should have promoted the other Entei with the muscle bands. That's what I should have done. And I'm kind of sad that my opponent didn't attack us there, just so we could see what would happen. My opponent decides to power up the Garchomp and not the Gallade. The Garchomp cannot take a 1-hit KO on us though. It needs... Oh man, it needs a lot of energy. A lot of strong energy, actually. How many strong energy are in the discard pile? Only 1. Only 1. Does my opponent maybe have a switch? He hasn't used a switch just yet. Knuckle Punch fails because we used Flame Screen. Alright, let's take a look at this Trainers Mail. There's a Blacksmith. We don't really need a Blacksmith. We don't really need an Ultra Ball. I'm gonna use the Sycamore. Discard my hand. See what we can get. So we get another energy and the Super Rod. The Super Rod is really good. What do I want to do here? I think I will just go for another Flame Screen actually and slowly power up the Entei on my bench. I get slow KOs here on the Machop. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go for the Heat Tackle because my opponent could potentially one-hit KO our Entei. We are safe from the one-hit KO right now. My opponent can never put out that much damage in his turn. He will most likely promote the Lucario, but we have a VS Seeker to go for a Lysandre and knock out the Gallade after we knock out the Machop here. If we can get a knockout on a Machop, we have won the game. I think we have indeed won the game then. Next turn we will use Blacksmith onto the Entei. We have no energy in our discard pile, so I'm gonna discard one energy with the Stadium and then Blacksmith that one energy onto Entei on the bench, I think. Maybe I should not do that. Maybe I should wait. And is our opponent going to retreat? He is going to retreat into the Garchomp. We will one-hit KO that Garchomp for sure. We'll get that KO. And then we will power up the Entei on our bench. Yeah, I think we have to get the KO here. Maybe I should have gotten the KO in the previous turn already. But we don't really have an Entei ready on the bench to take the next KO. Certainly not against Lucario. Or against Gallade. They still have too many hit points. And another rare candy, so that's... My opponent's hitting for 100. But yeah, even with a strong energy, that's 120. That's definitely not enough. We are reducing by 30, so... and he needs to take 3 prizes, so... Is he going to maybe dig for a Lysandre and gets a KO on our Shaymin? Premonition for... maybe a Lysandre then, so my opponent can get a KO on the Shaymin. And if he does that, he leaves one of our attackers alive, and then it's a guaranteed loss if we get a KO right now. There's a Turbo Assault, it's going to accelerate onto the Gallade. We do get a Ultra Ball, which we can use to discard these energies. But we need to get the KO here, so we need to attach at least 1 energy. And then I will shuffle back some cards. I'll shuffle back an Entei, a Blaziken, and another Blaziken with the Super Rod. Fill up our deck a little bit. And there is the concede. Oh my goodness, my opponent conceded. Yeah, we would have hit for an Heat Tackle. That would have been a knockout. And then my opponent would have come in, would have knocked us out. But we could have Blacksmith onto the Entei on the bench and then attach the manual energy from hand. And then knock out the Gallade. I think that's what would have happened, so we had the game there, I think. And even if my opponent promoted to Lucario, we have a Lysandre in hand. We had a Lysandre to Lysandre out the Gallade. So I think we were fairly safe there, but it still became a close game in the end there. What my opponent could maybe have done was he could maybe have promoted to Lucario. No, because then we would have Lysandred out the Machop. So we had the game there. We had a Lysandre available, and for knocking out the Machop, we just needed to attach a Fire Energy from hand. So we could have used the Lysandre in the same turn that we attach a Fire Energy when we would have knocked out when our Entei would have been knocked out by... Yeah, our Entei wouldn't even have been knocked out then if our opponent would have promoted to Machop, because he would have had to promote the Gallade to knock out our Entei. Yeah, we had to win there. I'm very sure of that. So let's take a look at the stats. We dealt 750 damage versus 420 for my opponent. Blaziken-EX is MVP against Gallade. Look at that. That is fantastic. Blaziken-EX MVP in the Blaziken deck. And I'm gonna leave it at this for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed Mega Blaziken hitting Manectric in the first game there, and subscribe to my channel for more competitive, silly and fun deck ideas. I hope you have a Karp-tastic day, and I will see you next time.
Karp, 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 Karp.